their next meeting, from which I
Well,
will be
I
thrown
would
out.
like to ask Stan that folks who listen, because I think something like this, we really need to take it before God in prayer, because we are tempting His wrath. And I think that we need to just pray hard that He will help us to find a way to restore a sense of spiritual sanity before these people have taken us too far down a road that ultimately I think will spell the morbid spiritual destruction of a people that actually had a great destiny, something extraordinary to offer humankind, and we shouldn't give that up.
Alan, my friend, thanks so much, and good night.
Good
Oh,
night.
hold on just a
Appreciate
minute.
it.
Alan, hold on a minute. We have another
Sure.
call. I didn't realize that. We'll take this caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, Sam. I
Oh,
just
go
wanted
ahead,
to
please.
say something towards the end that you guys might have a interesting observation about. One of my children is, I'm not a child anymore, but is at Purdue, ROTC program. And Bill Ayers showed up there last week, and it was during the time when the all ROTC people are supposed to wear uniforms. They were told not to wear the uniforms for a couple of reasons. And one, out of respect for him, and secondly, they were afraid that they might be harassed and possibly beat up. Now, what is this nation coming to when an engineering school brings in that thug, Bill Ayers from Chicagoland, and they go running around and getting the ROTC people scared? Oh, who's running the thing up there? They're not allowed to wear uniforms on the day that they're supposed to wear uniforms just because he's speaking, about 100 yards away. That's just ridiculous. So I thought you might find that interesting as another example of what this world is coming to.
I've got to say, it brings to my mind, and Stan, you and I talked about this. I was in Kentucky over the weekend. I was helping with an effort by Bill Johnson, who's running down there for the U.S. Senate. He is an ex-Navy guy, one of these folks who is a veteran. He served in the Persian Gulf War, first one. And he had a strong sense that the oath he took to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution of this country was lifelong. And so he now feels a commitment to stand forward in what he thinks is, and I believe too, is the crisis of our nation's constitutional liberty, and see whether he can articulate and offer an alternative that reflects the principles of America, the fight against socialism, the fight to preserve our economic freedom, and especially to restore our moral sanity by respecting the life in the womb and the nature of the family as God ordained it, and so forth. And I remember in the course of conversing with him one point where he got just very passionate about the fact that we live in a time when people just don't seem to appreciate or respect the sacrifices that have been made by people who get into uniform, what it represents, and the respect that really we owe to that. And the fact that it develops spiritual resources and moral resources in people that are indispensable for liberty. That's one of the reasons I believe why over the course of our history people have respected the uniform. And it's also one of the reasons why people who donned the uniform felt that they had to try at least to act respectably. If you take away that respect, then you not only are going to be damaging and injuring that which you owe, in fact, to the people who are giving that service to the country, but I think you also undermine the culture of honor and honorableness that is essential in order to maintain military forces that will, because they respect themselves, respect their fellow citizens and the Constitution and country they're supposed to serve. I think the spirit of Bill Ayers acting as if spreading some spirit around him that says uniforms can't be worn in my presence, though they represent service to the people of the United States. What kind of sick mentality is this?
It's very sick, and it's very sick that the administrators there at an engineering school would allow them to come and encourage this to happen. Yeah. And just like when you're up in Notre Dame, I mean, it's just sick. And,
well, it shows that
and I just want to say one more thing. When are you going to run for president again? I hope you do.
Well, that's like asking the fellow who just came across the hot coals when he's going to do it again.
But I do think that we are seeing prostitutes, plain and simple, the leaders of Notre Dame, went against all the principles for which they are allegedly standing, just like the leaders of Notre Dame, because they want money. I mean, let's be honest. They want money. And that's the way they're going to get it, by bowing down to the idol of this administration.
And idol does appear to be the right word. There were people who were scoffing at it when folks like myself were raising the offensiveness of this cult of personality that these people were trying to develop around this individual. But Stan, I guess I'm sensitive to it because when I was doing my work years ago in the State Department, I had occasion to visit countries and see what goes on in some of these places where cult of personality dictators are in the seats of power. And from the perspective of somebody raised to kind of value the dignity of human freedom and individual kind of self-government and responsibility, it is something that just made me cringe to be walking in the midst of societies that were saturated with what essentially amounted to the worship of a human being. And that's why I think it's well to remember, part of what allows us to stand tall and strong as Americans, and has allowed it over the course of our history, is that we know that we are called to go down on our knees only before our God.
Thanks so much, Alan. Again, thank you for a great evening, and we'll look forward to next Tuesday night.
Thank you, Stan. Good night.
Good night. And folks, thanks for being with us. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about a few more things. We're going to make a few more podcasts and maybe take some more calls, so stay right with us.